Now, let's continue with some analysis. We're now joined by Professor Malte Brosig, International Relations Professor at the University of the Witwatersrand. Prof, thank you so much for your time. Now, a lot has been happening today since that very first strike, in the Ukraine by Russia. Talk to us about, just what the expectations are when the G7 world leaders meet today. They are expecting to impose stricter sanctions. As we know, the first round of sanctions have been criticized. What can you tell us in terms of the expectations on the ground?
Yeah, I think the gloves are off, as they say. So the sanctions the days before, they were pretty soft, leaving still space for diplomatic solutions here. But as we could see, the military invasion of Ukraine, requires different answers. So I would assume that there is a lot of coordination and talk about a very hard and quick sanctioning regime actually coming up pretty soon, maybe by the end of the day or tomorrow.
Strong words coming out from some world leaders and some entities, especially allies to the U.S. I mean, of course, President Biden is saying that this is a premeditated war that Russia is bringing to the Ukraine. Earlier, Russian president coming out, addressing the nation there, saying that he's decided to conduct a special military operation to protect people who have been subjected to bullying and genocide for the last 8 years. Is Russia trying to restore its image following the breakup of the Soviet Union? Just help us unpack what the statement could mean.
Well, it's still a very fluid situation. So we don't know exactly what the final goal of the Russian invasion is. So will it be a permanent occupation, or will it just be the removal of a democratic elected government here and then replacement with a puppet government? So this is not 100% clear here. But of course, it's an act of aggression, which is certainly one of the worst violations of the UN Charter. And of course, one of the questions is how to respond to it beyond just condemning it. And of course, Russia is a nuclear power. So the options are somehow also limited.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen also coming out very strongly there, saying President Putin is responsible for bringing war back to Europe. What does this mean for the European peace order?
It's of course it's a tremendous blow in the end. So we haven't really seen in the post Cold War period a security architecture that was in the end integrating Russia permanently. So on the other hand, I think Russia was never really keen on being integrated into any Western institutional multilateral framework, so to speak. So this is certainly it's a breakdown also of decades of diplomacy when we look at the diplomatic act in Helsinki, OSCE, for example. So it's a major blow for the security architecture, and I guess we see the remilitarization of Eastern-Western relations here for the years to come.
And let's look at Ukraine particularly. Now, we know Zelensky, came into power some several years ago. And when he did, he promised to end a war with Moscow-backed separatists in eastern Ukraine. This is a question I also posed to an earlier analyst that we had here on the show. What could be the results of this invasion by Russia? I mean, could we possibly be seeing an overthrow of his government and an end to the Ukrainian democracy, dare I say?
I'm sure that this is the goal. Yeah. So if you see the Russian aggression against democratic movements in Belarus, so it's a neighboring country, or in Kazakhstan and in other places, so democracy is generally seen as a provocation for the Kremlin. Of course, it also depends a lot on how the military operations go on and continue. So don't want to speculate here. I think from a military point of view, for Russia, it makes sense to have a quick war and win it totally. But this is not guaranteed that this will happen. So other scenarios might also be possible. So a protracted civil war-like scenario, for example.
Now,
but I don't want to really participate in speculations here.
Now, Prof, just as it relates to South Africa, of course, the country has to probably maintain some kind of balance in its response. But the International Relations Department has issued a statement, on behalf of government, saying that South Africa calls on Russia to immediately withdraw its forces from Ukraine in line with the United Nations Charter. What kind of position is South Africa in currently? We've just seen a press briefing held here by the ambassador of Ukraine to South Africa, calling on South Africa to also, apply sanctions against Russia.
If we compare this then with the South African response in 2014, for example, with the occupation of Crimea, then this is a stronger statement. And I guess there will be international pressure on South Africa to join whatever sanctions will come up in the future. And that will be interesting to see to which extent then South Africa is joining these sanctions. But it's all pretty speculative at the moment. But the statement, of course, I mean, it's very clear that we have a tremendous violation of the UN Charter here, and South Africa was mentioning this. So I guess this would be the minimum one can expect here.
Prof Brosig, thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate your analysis this afternoon.
Thank you.